Now, before anybody says anything, let me explain something. Let me kind of explain something that I'm speculating off panel in continuity potentially could have happened. Now, we know at the end of the two-part 150th anniversary story that Sonic suddenly was getting hit on, if you will, flirted with by Amy and Bunnie. And even he was wondering what was going on. Now, he probably did figure out, put all the pieces together, that his evil doppelganger caused a little bit of mischief around here. And maybe off panel, he had to explain to the girls, yeah, the person you were with, that you were being hit on or you made out with, that wasn't me, that was my evil doppelganger. And, you know, if he did, you have to wonder in continuity if maybe that turned the light bulbs on, you know, very briefly, if not dimly, you know, in Bunnie's mind. Because think about it. This whole incident in 150 and 151 is kind of alluded to in future issues, not much, but it is alluded to when they do encounter Scourge and the Suppression Squad, the anti-freedom fighters, you know, in due time again. You know, it is kind of acknowledged, you know, in reference that, you know, Bunnie and Amy know about what happened. But you have to wonder if maybe that kind of slightly, if not dimly, turned on the light bulb in Bunnie's, you know, emotionally, mentally distraught mind, and perhaps made her curious as, you know, to the fact that, wait a minute, if what Sonic is saying is true, could that mean that the Antoine that broke up with me is not my Antoine? You know, could that be the reasoning why things ended badly between us? You know, it could have, you know, popped that idea in her mind. Now, I'm not saying it did, because as we see, fast forward to like 155, she's emotionally, you know, heartbroken at the fact that Antoine and Sally are going to marry and everything, and she's bawling her eyes out to Sonic. But still, you have to wonder if maybe, that theory, that idea, that possibility, popped up in her head, very dimly, very very small consideration and everything. You have to wonder if that popped in her head, because then you fast forward to the end of 156, where she basically is in her hut. She is, she's just sitting there, sipping on carrot juice nonchalantly, even though she was still kind of like bawling a little. Now, I wouldn't say bawling, but kind of still disheartened, broken a little bit when, during the wedding. You have to wonder if maybe after seeing that ruckus, as she puts it, that Sonic caused, that maybe that light, that dim consideration kind of brightened up, like it suddenly just powered on real full, powered on, truly fully, if you will, to the point that she basically was justified in maybe, that little thought in her mind of, what I possibly thought and needed evidence for just got justified. And then, of course, seeing the real Antoine pop up alongside Sonic and everything, and her basically finally emotionally and mentally getting back to normal because of that, it is something to consider. I mean, I know it doesn't make much sense in continuity because, like I said, you still had her bawling her eyes out at the fact that who she still thought was Antoine was going to marry her best friend Sally and everything, and she was still kind of crying a little bit during the wedding ceremony. But you have to think that maybe after 150, after 151, that little bit of consideration and speculation, you have to wonder if that was still prevalent in her emotionally distraught mind, to where she's like, to where, maybe off panel, Sonic, like I said, explained the situation of him, if you will, hitting on the girls, making out with the girls. You have to really, think to yourself, I you have to think to yourself, I wonder if she might have thought about it. Like maybe a little thought went off, like a little idea and thought and speculation went off in her mind of, well, if Sonic could have got replaced by his evil doppelganger, could it be possible the same happened with mine? But again, she didn't have the evidence. She didn't have the evidence of that possibly being the case because, for all she knew, the only anti-version of any of her friends that she encountered personally was evil Sonic. So she didn't have the proof that maybe the same happened with her boyfriend, soon-to-be fiance. She didn't have no proof. But there was that little bit of wonderment, little bit of curiosity, I think, that woke up in her mind. That little bit of wonderment and curiosity that kind of went off in her mind, emotionally distraught mental mind at that time. I think something went off in her head, but couldn't fully be powered on until the revelation in 156. Like it couldn't be justified. Like she couldn't just come out and say, what Sonic told me about, him, acting the way he did, that's proof that I don't think the Antoine that went with your parents' salad girl, is the real Antoine. I think he's an imposter. I think he's the evil doppelganger. And, she couldn't just do that. She just couldn't do what Sonic would do and say, hey, you got to believe me. I'm the hero of the planet. I know what I'm talking about kind of deal. She couldn't just do that. But I think that little spark of, wonderment and curiosity, of could the same happen with Antoine went off in her head. But she couldn't prove it. She couldn't prove it, so she still had to accept that this might be the real deal. Which is why she still acted the way she did, because she didn't have the evidence, but it was there. But I think that little bit of curiosity went in her, woke up in her mind, but it couldn't be fully powered on until she had actual evidence, and that evidence came in the form of the revelation in 156, in my opinion. Now, like I said, I know it sounds kind of weird to theorize that and speculate that. And yeah, it is, no doubt. But when you get down to it, it kind of makes sense in story. Because there's a lot of stories where this kind of stuff has happened. Where a character, female or male, emotionally and mentally will be distraught over something that happened with their, with their better half. Whether it's the better half breaking up with them and all that, but then suddenly seeing something that might spark a bit of curiosity in them and make them wonder, could it be? But not be able to prove it because they don't have no evidence, and then just over time accept still that unless they have the evidence, this is still the real deal. It's been done in a lot of other medias before. So to just be curious and wonder about the fact of whether or not it happened here, between 151 and 156, again, it's just a thought. It's just a thought in my mind. But what do you guys think? What do you think maybe could have maybe, if it did, set it off? Do you think maybe Sonic off panel explaining the situation to the girls may have set off the curiosity, that little bit of her mind to kind of go, just kind of start go, turn, have its wheels very slowly turn in curiosity and be like, I wonder if the same could be said for my Antoine? Or do you think maybe I'm just reaching for straws? Let me know. Comment below, live chat during the premiere. Love to hear from each and every one of you. Until next time, I am out.